the stream. Let me just. It's here. Just wondering where I'd put my drink, but it's all good. Welcome back to another stream. We're doing a little bit of an announcement today, but it's a little bit of a different one because this one is unfortunately not under the best circumstances. But however, hopefully we can try and make something positive out of this, which is what I'm kind of aiming to do. So, for people who are not aware, I'm going to give you a little bit of a backing story as to what led up to this and why what's happening is happening now, my whole kind of thought process behind the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, and just to let you know what's happening for people that may or may not be interested. So on Boxing Day, our lives were literally turned upside down and shattered into literally a million pieces when we had a knock at the door at my granddad's house from the police to say that my dad had been involved in a very serious motorcycle accident. So I obviously, in that moment, I had to go straight to the hospital with the police and ended up staying at the hospital for well over 24 hours to receive devastating news that my dad was unfortunately too far bad with his injuries that he was unfortunately unable to recover from the accident. He'd suffered a very bad head injury, and unfortunately he passed away the following day in the hospital as he was being kept alive by a machine, and basically like the machine was just keeping him going, and there was just no chance that he would have ever have got strong enough to be able to breathe on his own again. So we had to unfortunately turn the machines off, and we had to unfortunately accept the fact that he has to die, and there's no way that he can come round from that. Really, like, I still really don't know like where I am or really like how I feel at the moment. We had a pretty bad year last year because we lost we lost quite a few other family members. One of them was my nan. I was very close to my nan. She was kind of like a second mother to me, and I kind of grew up a lot at my nan's. Me dad always kind of had a fairly good relationship with his parents, to the point where he still relied on them a lot. He still went round to see them a lot, and they were very much involved in my life. And my dad used to fit TV aerials, so he was out working all day. And when I was like very young, my mum also had a job caring for old people. So it kind of made sense that I'd go to my nan's, and then I kind of grew up at my nan's. But my mum and dad separated around 2008, and I ended up living with my dad before eventually living at my grandparents. So I always kind of had that more, like, I was very close to that kind of my dad's side of the family, cousins, aunties, uncles, that kind of thing. So last year we had a few unfortunate deaths, which was, we were kind of just, not that you really ever get over them, but we were just kind of starting to sort of come to terms. And they say like it gets easier with time, and I suppose it was starting to get easier, although like we were sort of coming to terms with the fact that it's going to be the first Christmas without without me nan and without other people that had obviously died last year. So then to have that on Boxing Day, it was kind of very shattering for us. It just shattered me into a million pieces. And like I say, right now, like, it still just doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel right. However, what happened is unfortunately what happened. That is, the be all and end all is that did happen. So I am one of these people, and I'll be completely honest. I'm one of these people. Now, don't get me wrong. I have my off days. I've had plenty of days lately where like I've just not felt like it and I've just wanted to go to bed. And I've had days where I've maybe been all right, and then like just my complete mood's changed, and then like all of a sudden like I'm not feeling too good. Like I just feel a bit like no energy. Like I just really can't be bothered. Like but typically 9 times out of 10, I try to be a positive person, and I try to, try to feel like, like I think of like what they would want from what they would want from me, and what they would want from me is to smash life and for me to do them proud. So that is pretty much exactly like what I want to do in life, and I feel like like I could sit and like mope all the time, and I could take time off work, and I could do this and I could do that, right? But at the end of the day, that's not what they would want. They wouldn't want me. My dad certainly wouldn't have wanted me losing hours at work. Like, no way. I like to try and keep positive. So I've kept on like doing bits of music. I went back to work after Christmas. I've done a few various different bits and bobs. I've still bobbed out to the local pub in Driffield and met some friends and played some darts and done some just pretty normalish things. I like to, like I say, I like to somewhat kind of keep sort of as positive as possible. So anyway, obviously my dad was an amazing person. He was an absolute amazing person. Now, he didn't always get everything right by the book, but he tried his best to be the best person that he could be, and I am forever grateful to him for that. And I wanted to give back in his memory. Now, my dad is not a religious person, so basically, like, and neither am I really. I'm not a huge religious person. Although over the recent years, my views on some things have changed due to various things that have happened in my life and things I've seen. My dad, however, he was not a religious person at all. If he never had to go in a church, he was happy. If he never had to go to a crematorium, he was happy. They were not his kind of places. Saying prayers, singing hymns, they just weren't for him. And that's no offences to anybody that, goes to church, or, to anybody that sings hymns, like that's obviously what you decide to do. And, like I personally, I respect you for that. That's what you want to do. That's your thing. It wasn't my dad's. It very much wasn't. And certainly funerals, they can be the most drowning, sad. Obviously, they're not a happy place. They're not meant to be. You basically you're saying goodbye to somebody you've lost, whether it be a friend, a family member, a work colleague, somebody you're close to, essentially. You're paying respects and you're saying goodbye to somebody. It's not, in sense, it's supposed to be a happy vibe, because they're just not. But with my dad not being like a religious kind of person, I wanted to do something in his memory that wasn't necessarily like in a church environment, because like I say, it wasn't his kind of thing. So obviously, like, services, funerals, the kind, I'm guessing they kind of have to happen. So that is obviously going to happen. There is obviously a funeral for him. I wanted to do something after the funeral, like in a, like on a totally separate date to when the funeral might be, that we could raise a glass and do something in his memory in a little bit of a different way. So I've decided that on the 7th of March, I am putting on an event, a memorial event for my dad to celebrate his life. It's a free entry life of my dad, mainly aimed at, well, I mean, it's aimed for people that knew him. It's aimed for people that somewhat, there was it was somewhat in their life, whether it was a friend, a work colleague, a family, and it's a night to come together in the town of Driffield to basically celebrate his life. Now, when I was growing up, my parents were party animals, massive party animals. And what I mean by that is they went out every weekend to yeah, basically, sorry, I lost thought because I got a message. So basically, they went out like every weekend. That's kind of what sparked my yeah. Then basically, sorry, I'm getting a message about buying something. Yeah, so basically, they went out every weekend. That influenced my passion for music. So when I was growing up, they were always kind of partying, whether they were going clubbing, whether they were just going to the local pub and then kind of having like an after party, like after the pub. And then basically, yeah, just basically, so like, sorry, I've lost thought because I'm getting a message, and when I get messages, like, it really throws me off because I'm trying to read the message and then I'm getting tongue tied with what I'm saying. Sorry. So yeah, so they raved through the like 2000s and like the late 90s. So I grew up with them like going to raves, and like I'd go to my nan's, well, because they were going out, they were going up to tall trees. They often would get like mixed CDs from the events, and then obviously like the 2000s, like, CDs were kind of like the big thing then. Like vinyl was just sort of starting to go out of fashion. CDs were like really coming in. So you would have like like the Ministry of Sound albums coming out. You have like the Dance Nations, the Ibiza annuals. They were all coming out, and then you had sort of like the rise of the Clubland CDs, and then you had like the Hard House CDs, and you had like you just had like literally everything like kind of exploding on like the CD kind of thing. So they bought CDs, like a new dance album would come out, they'd go to HMV or Tesco or even Woolworths back then, and they'd buy it. So whenever I was having like car journeys, whether it be to school, whether we were going like shopping. Now we lived in Driffield, so Driffield was kind of it's always been a small town. So sometimes like you would venture to Hull and you'd go to like what was classed as bigger shops. Like in Driffield, there isn't an Asda. So you'd go to Hull and you'd go to the Kingswood Asda. It was a bit of a thing. Or like, because I was a kid back then, you'd go to Hull and I'd go to Toys R Us. That was a massive thing, to go to Hull, go to Toys R Us. And then basically, like, I would like always hear the music in the car. So it kind of sparked off a big thing for me of like, it was a big thing for me of like, it influenced my music. And that's kind of one of the reasons probably why I'm DJing now. So I wanted to give back for that reason as well. My dad had a lot of friends back then, but and basically, like they all went sort of like clubbing and raving together, if you like. So I wanted to do a little something for people that like want to come and kind of raise a glass and have a dance to some of the music that my dad used to go out clubbing to back in the day, and give kind of a little bit of a more sort of positive memorial send off for him, where you're not in a church in a suit with tissues in your hand, crying your eyes out, where we can be a little bit more positive and we can just celebrate the good times and the happy times and stuff like that. So basically, that's kind of what I'm sort of like deciding to do, to put this event on. And also, we were obviously big biking families. So I wanted to do something as well to do like some like fundraising for like a bike charity, because like bikes and motorbikes, they're close to our family's heart. My dad unfortunately passed away due to a motorcycle accident, and it had to be kind of like bike related. It had to be like Isle of Man related, because my granddad used to race over there. So for me, it was like the obvious thing that we would raise money for the Joey Dunlop Foundation, and we would do a fundraising event, that would just be raising money for that foundation, and they specialise in accessible accommodation in the Isle of Man. So people who may suffer from accessibility boundaries can go over to the Isle of Man and can just basically still watch the racing and know that where they're going to stay is accessible for wheelchairs, crutches, whatever the situation might be. They can go there. They're not having to worry about can they get to a toilet, is the toilet accessible, have they got to go up, upstairs to sleep, and how are they going to get up the stairs if they can't? Is there a lift? Is it ground floor sleeping? Is there facilities to help people? So they make sure that is obviously all in place, and that people can book to stay and go ahead and obviously see the basically still witness the Isle of Man TT. So so basically, that's sort of like the reasoning behind the event. So I wanted to literally do something a bit more positive to celebrate my dad's life and what an amazing person he was, because he was. A lot of people won't know him, but people might watch this after it's live that maybe did know him, and for whatever reason they haven't got me on Facebook, or they haven't seen me, or they don't have me on TikTok, or they don't know basically. So this is just another platform for me to let people know that maybe don't have me on Facebook, but they see me on YouTube, for whatever reason. So basically, that's the score. So we're doing this event as kind of like one final like positive send off. I'm trying to, we're saying goodbye to somebody who's died. There isn't really anything positive about that, but it's just about trying to make the situation as positive as possible, and give like a little positive way to send him off, and just do something that will bring people together, and it's something that what was the last what was the last good memory of your dad, and it was doing this positive thing for him, raising money for a charity that was close to his heart, raising money for a charity that's close to his dad's heart, which started up through somebody who died, who they knew when this person was alive, Joey Dunlop. So it's all about that positivity, that connection, doing something good for the community, doing something good for the charity, let's say, helping the next generation of motorbike people, or people who were motorbike riders but now suffer from accessibility boundaries and still want to get out and watch the racing. And I know that if my dad was alive and I just, for whatever reason, wanted to put an event on and raise money for this charity, he would be like, do it. He would be all for it. He would be absolutely like, it's a great idea. They do absolutely amazing stuff. And my granddad would be just the same, and he probably will be when he finds out that I'm doing this. He'll be probably chuffed to bits, and that we're going to do something for the Joey Dunlop Foundation. So I wanted to hop on, just let people know that this is what's happening. Let people know that that is, that this is happening. And then for anybody that knew him, they can obviously, make up their mind whether they want to come or not. So the night is going to start around 9 o'clock on Saturday, the 7th of March. And it's going to go on till around 2 in the morning. So my initial plan for like how the event is going to run. So the event is going to run, basically, I think I'm going to start the night with doing a little speech. I'm probably just going to do a little like thank you to everybody for coming. Massive thank you to the book, the venue that have obviously allowed me to do this and offered to be the venue. And then basically like just start the event. And the initial plan is I'm just going to DJ all night, and we're just going to play loads of feel-good music. There'll be some pictures of my dad in the venue, and people can just literally, it's just about like remembering him in people's own way. So people can just dance to the music. People can sit down and talk about maybe memories of my dad. People can just have a few drinks and get absolutely levered, or get absolutely arseholed for him. Or people can just, just pop in and show their faces and maybe like, raise a pint and then, go home, whatever it may be. It's just an open space for people to come and support, the night, and just to give my dad one final send-off. And if he knew and if he could see everybody there and old friends, friends old and new coming together to raise a glass for him, it would be absolutely over the moon with that. So like I say, the whole point of it was I just wanted to do something where I feel I could do him proud, something that was more like not a church environment. That was one of the reasons. And the second reason, the third reason really was to give other people a chance to say a goodbye that isn't just necessarily like a church environment. And also with funerals as well, like you get pricks, don't you? Let's be honest, you get like, you work somewhere and you have a boss, and even though it's a funeral, he doesn't want you taking time off work, or they don't want you taking time out in the company's time. I've had it before. there was somebody, I can't even remember, who said to me, like, you know, their boss is funny about them, like, and there was another funeral they went to, and you know, the boss didn't want them to go. You know, didn't want them like missing, you know, time that they thought, you know, he should be working. Which is, you know, it's horrible. Like, why would you even like, you know, I think funerals, like, you know, come on. You know, if you're wanting to pull a sickie and go to the pub, I can completely understand, right? But a funeral is a little bit different when, you know, you're saying goodbye to somebody you've lost, and then the boss is like, listen, you can't go to the funeral. And, you know, you're not allowed to have that day off, like, you know. You know, really horrible, because you want to go and say, you know, pay your respects to that person, but at the same time, like, that person wouldn't want you losing your job. You know, like, if they were still around, like, you know, they'd be saying, like, you know, if they knew, they'd be saying, like, you know, you don't just have to come and, you know, come to my funeral, like, if it's going to cost you your job. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like I say, it's that positive, trying to be as positive as possible, I suppose, and give my dad the send off that he deserves. That isn't just, you know, a vicar talking in a crematorium, you know, and, you know, we're going to sing a hymn from blah 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 because my dad hated hymns. So, and he liked dance and club music. He liked piano house and retro house and hard house and trance, and, you know, he was even into a bit of clubland at the time. So, you know, it's about coming together and playing all that music that he used to like, and all the music that he went dancing to with his friends, and having his friends there to do that, you know, like they would have done back in the day, and hopefully we do something good. So anyway, I am going to cut this one here. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I have another gig coming up that I'm going to be announcing very soon. So the gig is like, it's 100% confirmed. I'm in the group chat with other artists. The flyer is getting made as we speak. Everything is like getting confirmed. Like, all the other things are getting confirmed in regards to the event. So I will be announcing it literally in the coming weeks. If not, like, it might even get announced next week. So next week I will hopefully be announcing it. If not, then you know, I'll definitely be announcing it in the coming weeks. And I'm taking a little bit of a journey for this one. And one thing I'm really excited about with this gig is I am going to somewhere that I've not been to before to do a gig. So I've been to the so I've never played at this club before. Never played at this club. Never played in the town slash city. Not gonna. I'm just saying that because I'm not telling you if it's a town or a city. So I'm just gonna say town slash city. Never played in the town slash city before. I have been to the town slash city before. Went to another event there that I wasn't DJing. So my friend, the layman, he got booked to do the photographs there. At this event, legendary venue as well, really big legendary venue, really big bounce night, and there was some really good names on, and even Club Filler was on this lineup. So went to this event. That's the only time that I've actually been to that town stroke city, but I've never been like to actually DJ. I've never been to actually play. I've been to places near it quite a few times, so there is. It's not too far from a big city that I've been to, and I've gigged at about 3 times, I think. Three times, I believe. 2 or 3 times I've gigged in that city. which is really good. So not too far. And then I've also been to another place that's not too far from it, not too far from the area. And I've also been to another city that is maybe about an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes away from where this gig is. So I played somewhat like some places like in the sort of like surrounding areas, but I've never played in this place itself. I'm always excited when I go to new places for the first time. It's a new venue that I've never been in before. So like the venue's been there a while, but I'm saying it's new to me. So I've never been in this venue before. And of course I've had a look at like some pictures and videos online of the venue. Do I like fishing? Do you like fishing? Do you like fishing? Because I'm going to be completely honest with you, right? I'm not a big fan of fishing. Now, I'm one of these people, right? I'm one of these people. If people like something, that's what people like. So I'm well aware that there's a lot of things I like that people are not going to like. So, for example, I like motorbike racing. A lot of people are not going to like motorbike racing. There's a lot of people that shout online that it's too dangerous. It should be banned. You know, the Isle of Man TT, they've had over 200 deaths in all the years that race has been running. And there's a lot of people that are against the motorbikes, right? That like literally will like shout from the rooftop that it should be banned, right? And then there's people like, and then there's people that obviously love it. So like people that like fishing, fair enough, they like it. But I'm going to give you my honest opinion about fishing. I don't understand why people can enjoy fishing. That's my honest opinion. I understand that people do. That is fair enough. But I don't get why they do. I don't find anything enjoyable about standing for hours on end at the side of a river, at the side of a lake, catching a fish, to look at it for 2 minutes, take a photo of it, to then just chuck it back in the sea. Like, people that like catch fish and then they catch it to obviously kill it, basically, right, like I understand that more because like they're doing that to like, like supply like seafood shops and like fish and chip shops and all of that, they obviously fish and chip, like the fish comes from fish. Do you know what I mean? So like I can understand in that sense, I can understand in that sense why people would like go fishing, but people that just genuinely enjoy it and they just go fishing at the local lake and they catch a fish, they look at it for 2 minutes and they throw it back in the water. I can't get, I can accept that that's what people like, but I just can't understand why people like what it is about fishing that people like. Do you know? Like that is, literally like, and I follow a guy on Facebook, and he's a big fisherman, and he does a lot of stuff around fishing, and he gets young kids into fishing, and I'm all for it. I'm all for, like, if that's what people like, then wicked. I'm glad, like, I'm glad fishing is a thing, and I'm glad people are that there is people out there that enjoy it, and it's keeping like kids off the street, and like I totally get that. I just personally I just want to know what people actually like. Like, what is the enjoyment in it? Like, is it that moment where like you're pulling it back and you're wondering like, I think I've caught something? Is it like when you know looking at different fish and the look of a fish. You know, what is it? You know, what is your favorite sport? So my favorite sport. So my favorite, like all-time favorite sport is motorbike racing. But I do also enjoy like darts. So I like the darts. I do like. I'm not a big fan of F1 because, like, I just think it's all gone a bit too. Like, they rely on screens and all the buttons on the steering wheel. Like, to me, like, that's not racing. Like, racing is like physically driving a car and doing everything yourself, and you know, not having a a screen telling you, like, you need to do this and you need to do that, like. But I'm into like rallying, like WRC. I don't mind WRC. I'm into a little bit. I don't mind like touring cars and stuff like that. um and then as far as sports go, like, that is really it. I'm not a big sport person, so like, although I say that I'm into like, like, I'm into like rallying and touring cars, like, I don't sit there and like follow like all the races and all the seasons, and I don't sit there and all the WRC's on. I'm gonna watch that. It's kind of more like the thing of like, if I've just like got nothing on and I put the telly on and it's on, like, I'll sit there and watch it and I'll enjoy it. Sometimes, like, I'll just like put some like rallying on YouTube and stuff and like watch it that way. And it's a bit like the same with the darts. Like, I don't follow all the like PDC darts championship matches, but my granddad likes to watch it. So like, if it's on and I'm at my granddad's, like, I'll happily sit there and watch it. But I'm a music man, so like, if it comes to like, like going on the decks or like watching like the darts, like, or sitting at the computer and making a song, like, I'd choose making a song like over anything. Motorbike racing, the Isle of Man is like, it's amazing. When that is on, I listen to the radio for the commentary, and I do follow the Isle of Man. I watch videos of it. I've been over myself to watch it. I am like a big fan of that. You should exercise. I do loads of exercise. I walk to work every morning. My work is a big organisation that spans across different buildings in different locations. Typically, everywhere I go, like, to do with work, like, I pretty much walk it, unless it is like the other end of the city. But I will take like 15, 20 minute, half an hour walks to places. I don't get buses. I do have a motorbike. I do occasionally ride the bike into work when the weather's good. But basically, like, that is, like, I do a lot of walking. If I'm like ever going like to the train station, I always walk. Yeah. I always walk to the station. Do I like women, or do you support bad ideas? What do you mean by that? Like, let's not, let's not get too like political, and let's not get too deep on these questions. Like, asking me what my favorite sport is, asking me like hobbies and interests. Like, I can do that, but listen, I am not like about to answer like, stupid questions, like, because you get them all the time. Like, do you support the government? Like, do you like women? Like, have you got to get, listen, that is for you to not know and for me to not tell you. That is, I'm not one of these people. Like, I've got my opinions, of what I think about the world, the government, certain things in the world, whatever it may be, right? But I'm not about to, yeah, I'm not about to, say them online and then get into like debates with people, and then obviously, fall out with people and have people getting offended because I like something that they don't like, or something like that, or I agree with something that they don't agree with. Anyway, we are going to leave the stream here, so make sure to like, make sure to comment, share, and we'll see you soon.